Before we start the movie, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and the film begins with Johnny, a senior high school student, experiences his first love with his classmate Nina. However, everything turns upside down when Helena, the new German language teacher, enters his life. She recognizes Johnny's talent as a writer and encourages him. Helena uses the trust she builds with Johnny to initiate an affair, but her ultimate motives are far darker. The story begins with Johnny's grandmother alone on the beach. A large dog charges at her. She tries to flee but is killed by the dog. Afterward, a funeral is held, attended by Johnny and his grandfather. 4 months later, Johnny's father witnesses a speeding car driven by a woman, which causes a fatal accident, killing Johnny's parents. His closest companion now is Nina, while he lives with his grandfather, Friedrich. A year later, Johnny goes to school with his friends, learning about a new teacher, Helena, who replaced their previous one after an incident. After class, Helena asks for help moving her belongings, and Johnny, Nina, and Florian volunteer to assist. They visit her house, where Nina accidentally enters a storage room and discovers that Helena once lived in the same country as their previous teacher, but she doesn't think much of it. After they leave, Helena retrieves a box from the storage room containing numerous photos of Johnny. She looks at the photos and burns them. The next day, Helena assigns a poetry writing task, due the following day. Nina struggles with the poem and asks Johnny for help. After turning in the poems, Helena privately asks Johnny to speak with her, revealing she knows Johnny wrote Nina's poem due to his unique writing style. She requests to see more of his poems, asking him to bring them to her house for evaluation. Johnny complies, and when Helena reads his poems, she pretends to be deeply moved, even crying. She then seduces him, starting an affair. The next day, Johnny feels uneasy, but Helena reassures him that it's natural for a young man like him. At school, Nina starts noticing suspicious behavior between Johnny and Helena. A few days later, a seminar is held, where Friedrich speaks about his struggle against the government's efforts to shut down the school. During his speech, Friedrich notices Helena in the crowd and feels as if he recognizes her. Suddenly, he faints. Johnny rushes to help, but Helena has already left. Nina, having noticed the interaction between Friedrich and Helena, questions Johnny about any possible past relationship between them, suspecting that something is amiss. Johnny, however, dismisses any connection, angering Nina, who leaves. On her way out, Nina feels someone watching her. Helena, waiting for Nina to leave, enters Johnny's house, and they engage in another affair. The next morning, Helena sneaks out, but Nina, who had been hiding behind a car, sees her. Later, Johnny goes to his grandfather and asks if he knows Helena, but Friedrich denies any connection. In the school library, Nina searches through past teacher records and finds a photo of a girl resembling Helena with the same hairstyle, named Maria. Suddenly, Helena arrives. Nina confronts her, accusing her of orchestrating something to replace the previous teacher and get close to Johnny. Helena, unable to control her anger, attacks Nina, strangling her to death. Hearing Johnny calling for Nina, Helena leaves the library and lies, saying Nina just left. She returns to the library, upset over what she has done, and hides Nina's body behind a curtain. Helena later takes Nina's body out of the school through a back door, disposes of it far away, and returns home. Friedrich comes to Helena's house, but she refuses to let him in, knowing he saw her through the window. That night, Helena crushes some sedative pills and receives a text from Johnny, asking her to come to his family's house. When she arrives, Johnny tells her Nina is missing and expresses his concern. Helena reassures him, suggesting Nina might have been jealous and that she will return soon. Consumed by guilt, Johnny admits that their affair was a mistake. Helena pretends to be distressed, and they spend the night together. The next morning, Johnny's grandfather wakes him with terrible news. Nina's body has been found on the beach. Friedrich faints from the shock and suffers a heart attack, leading to his hospitalization. Despite the doctor's advice to rest, Johnny is devastated by Nina's death and believes she was murdered. Johnny starts investigating Nina's last whereabouts, searching the library and discovering that a page was torn from the teacher records book. Meanwhile, Helena visits Friedrich in the hospital. He immediately recognizes her, and she reveals that she must remind him of Maria because she is Maria's daughter. Helena explains that she witnessed her mother's murder and had been planning revenge on Friedrich by killing his entire family. She confesses to being responsible for Johnny's grandmother's death and his parents' accident, leaving Johnny as her final target. Johnny searches for Helena but cannot find her. He returns home and falls asleep, only to be woken by Helena knocking on his door, claiming to have arranged for his grandfather's medical care at home. Johnny confronts her, asking about her mother's relationship with Friedrich. He then receives a call from a friend and excuses himself. Meanwhile, Helena prepares a drugged coffee for Johnny and sets up his grandfather to watch from a window as she tells Johnny the truth. Helena reveals that Maria loved the town and was in love with Friedrich, even having a child together, meaning Helena is Johnny's aunt. She explains that Friedrich killed Maria after she asked him to acknowledge Helena as his daughter. Suddenly, Johnny feels dizzy from the drugged coffee and collapses. Friedrich, witnessing the scene, suffers a seizure and collapses as well. Helena drags Johnny to a pool and tries to drown him, but he manages to escape and fight back. He runs into the house and finds his grandfather unconscious. Helena attacks Johnny again, but he grabs a piece of glass and kills her. In Friedrich's hand is a letter from Maria, where she explains her intention to end her life. In the end, Johnny decides to leave town for good, bringing the film to a close. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel to see more videos.